to read the Shadow and Bone trilogy before or after the Six of Crows duology? Now that is a good question. The Grishaverse has numerous books in them, the most popular of which is the Six of Crows duology, which is made up of Six of Crows and the second book, Crooked Kingdom. These are both amazing books, and I would rank this duology a 6-star duology. Yeah, they're that good. They are phenomenal books. However, the Six of Crows duology is actually not the beginning of the Grishaverse universe. The stories actually start in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. These are my beautiful cover editions, but usually the editions look like this. And the Grishaverse concludes, at least for now, with the King of Scars duology. There's also other books and short stories in the Grishaverse. I don't even have all of them, so I can't do a full disclosure on the entire reading order. For example, there is Demon in the Wood. This is actually a beautiful comic edition. Look at this gorgeous under the dust jacket cover. But this book also is in the Grishaverse along with other short stories. But the big question I'm answering today is it okay to read the Shadow and Bone trilogy before or after the Six of Crows duology, since technically these two are happening at the same time, roughly? What should you read first? I think this is a really important question to answer because when I first looked up the Grishaverse, it said that the key thing was that you could read Six of Crows at any time in comparison to Shadow and Bone, the trilogy and this duology, as long as you read both of these series before the King of Scars duology. The King of Scars duology, book 1, book 2, has to come last. And I do agree that these have to come last. But is it actually okay to read Six of Crows before Shadow and Bone? Here's my answer to that question. It is only okay to read the Six of Crows duology before the Shadow and Bone trilogy if you are the type of person who likes standalones, duologies, maybe a trilogy if you're forced into it, but you are not a big multi-book universe type reader. If that's not your thing, that's okay. Read the Six of Crows duology. You'll have a phenomenal time. This will be amazing. Put down the books and go have fun and do something else. That's perfectly fine. But for the rest of you, anybody who's like, yeah, I could read 4 or 5 books, that's fine. I could read a multi-book series and not have an issue. If you are down for reading bigger things, I cannot preface enough how important it is you start with Shadow and Bone. And the reason is these books are simply not as good as the Six of Crows duology. They just aren't. That's not a bad thing. But if you read this trilogy after you read the Six of Crows duology, which is what I did, these will come across as so much more disappointing. And if you're like me, you'll judge these 3 books far harsher than I probably should have, to be completely honest. The best way I can explain this is with a graph where we have like time on the x-axis and the y-axis is star ranking. Okay, if you read like I did and you start with the Six of Crows duology, you're probably going to rank this to 5 to 6 star read. These are going to be amazing. You're going to absolutely love them, and you're probably going to want to continue in the Grishaverse. You're going to go and you're going to pick up the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and this trilogy is not bad. It's a standard fantasy trilogy. It's probably like a 3.5 star, 3.75, maybe a 4-star read. However, if you just finished reading something as phenomenal as Six of Crows, and then you go and you try to read the Shadow and Bone trilogy, it's going to feel like you fell off a cliff. Yep, exactly like that. Because you're going to go from something absolutely phenomenal, 6-star read, to standard, basic, usual, typical fantasy. When I first read this trilogy, I was like, 3 stars. I am so unhappy. I can't believe we went from something so amazing to something so average. And I judged the Shadow and Bone trilogy so harshly. Now, it's important to note Shadow and Bone gets better and better as it goes, the 3rd book being the best out of the trilogy. This is a solid trilogy. It's good. But if you try to read it after reading something absolutely phenomenal by the author, you're going to judge it so harshly, and it's going to be a less experience. And then when you head over into the King of Scars duology, this is pretty good. It's not as good as Six of Crows, but it's better than Shadow and Bone. I would probably give this a 4 to 4.5 stars for the duology, so it's going to get a little bit better, which is nice. But on that graph, the best fit line for the directionality of your general feelings is you go from experiencing something absolutely phenomenal to gradually feeling less about the rest of the books in the Grishaverse. And I left the Grishaverse going, oh, I read it in the wrong order. It was just the vibe that came out of reading the Grishaverse. Because if you instead start with the Shadow and Bone trilogy, you're not going to judge this as harshly. You'll probably feel better and nicer to this author, and you'll feel good about the series. My guess is you'll rank this as a 3.5 to 4-star read. Then you're going to come over to Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, 6 stars. You're going to be on a high. This is going to be books 4 and 5 for you, unless, of course, you're reading those additional side stories. But either way, this is going to feel amazing in the middle. It's just going to be, oh my goodness, eye-opening and fantastic. And you're going to be like, wow, this whole universe just exploded into something fabulous. And you're going to conclude the series with something that's still pretty good. And you're probably going to be riding the wave of the Six of Crows books. And you're probably going to feel decently well about these, giving them 4 to 4.5 stars. Your general experience with the entire Grishaverse as a result for a best line of fit is going to be a positive line of fit, because it just kind of feels like it keeps getting better. Even though these two are a little less in quality than the Six of Crows duology, it's not going to feel like you just plummeted off a cliff, as it might feel once you complete the Six of Crows duology and move into Shadow and Bone, if you do it that way. So, like I said, ultimately, I strongly recommend that if you have any interest in reading bigger series and you're curious about the Grishaverse, start with the Shadow and Bone trilogy. If you really don't like it, skip ahead to Six of Crows. Not a problem, that's okay. But my guess is you will like Shadow and Bone. You'll enjoy this trilogy, and then you're going to hit some really amazing reads with Six of Crows. So, unless you really only exclusively like standalones and duologies, in which case, please just read the Six of Crows duology. It's absolutely worth it. And then go on your merry reading journey. For literally everyone else, start here. Start with Shadow and Bone. You'll thank me later. Before I go, I just want to show off my gorgeous sets. I really love my Shadow and Bone trilogy. I feel like this fits such a gorgeous aesthetic, and I feel like it works really well in comparison with the Six of Crows duology, more so than these covers. I love these. They're so gorgeous, but they can be harder to find. So I definitely had quite the journey trying to acquire these books. Both book 2 and 3 of my editions are signed, which is really exciting, but they are signed to some person named Kayla. I think that's funny because I'm not Kayla. I got them secondhand, so thank you, Kayla, for, I don't know, giving this to somebody so that I could eventually have them, because I do love my signed editions. I also wanted to show off my box set for the Six of Crows duology. My younger brother designed this and carved the sides and the back for Six of Crows, which, oh, I just think is so beautiful. And then I inverted the Six of Crows box, the paper box that it comes in, and I put it on the inside. So we've got this beautiful interior to this wood box, and then the books just fit perfectly. They just slide right in there. Oh, I absolutely love this box set. Thank you to my younger brother, because, oh, it's so cute! So that's a little bit about the Grishaverse. I will be coming back to the Grishaverse once I have read all of the short stories and other books. I know this book is coming out this month, I believe. So there's going to be more Grishaverse on this channel in the future. But for now, keep reading what you love, and I will see you next time.